Jacksonville comeback attempt against the Eagles on Sunday and saved Nick Sirianni from what would have been a very loud week, even by his standards, after a lot of questionable decisions that the coach made for the Eagles during the game, attempting 3 two-point conversions, attempting a 57-yard field goal late in the game. By now, you know all about it. As I said the other day, he didn't cost them that game on Sunday, but it wasn't for lack of trying. So let me ask you this, Hawk.
Yeah.
Right now, there is a feeling out there, and it's been verbalized by many, including Dan Orlovsky on this show, that the biggest question mark they have about the Eagles is their coach. What do you think?
I agree. I think Sirianni is the biggest threat to an Eagles Super Bowl appearance, right? This is a very talented football team. And you could put all the leadership takes or the in-locker room turmoil to the side. Let's assume they fixed all of that. Specifically on the in-game decision-making, you are costing your team. You talked about the two-point conversion. The 4th and 1 is probably the most egregious one. You're 4th and a foot, and you do whatever. Like, I don't know who's calling the play, whether it's the offensive coordinator, whether it's Sirianni.
Yeah, Kellen
but
Moore.
You stick with what you know.
Yeah.
Like, you stick with what works. Don't get cute. There is a difference between being aggressive and being reckless. And if your head coach is making in-game decisions that are reckless with this kind of talent, yes, that is absolutely a liability.
Hey, Mark.
So I just have a question. What can you this is a real legitimate question. What can you objectively say Nick Sirianni brings to the table? Like, what is the thing that he puts his stamp on? What is the thing that he instills in this team? The reason I say that is because with Andy Reid, with Sean McVay, with Kyle Shanahan, when you look at all these coaches, Mike McDaniel, when you look at all these coaches that are in the NFL, you can say, hey, Mike Tomlin, he guarantees his team about 4 wins just straight off of being Mike Tomlin. Kyle Shanahan, when they have injuries, you can say, you know what? As an offensive-minded guy, genius in his own right, he'll figure out how to offset some of these injuries. When I look at the Eagles, I don't feel like the head coach gives them any particular example.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more. I think the guy's won 40 games in 3 years. He's already been to a Super Bowl. I can remember Andy Reid being bludgeoned for in-game errors that he made. He gets Patrick. He never won a Super Bowl. He gets Patrick Mahomes. He's the 4th best coach in the NFL. He'll be in the Hall of Fame now, right? Like, stamp it this way. Nick Sirianni is not the play caller anymore. Kellen Moore's a play caller. So if you got an issue with the tush-push or the tush-push-pull or whatever it is, he calls the plays. They've made that clear. That's what he does. That's his job. John Harbaugh doesn't call plays. There's a lot of good coaches that don't call plays. That's not what Sirianni does anymore. But what I will tell you is the energy he brings to the Eagles is what the Eagles thrive on. And since the bye week, when people were talking about he shouldn't have a job, he's talking to fans or whatever, they've gotten this thing figured out. That's a head coach's job. They now run the ball at a 2-to-1 ratio on early downs. I want you to watch these 3 plays. What's the first thing? Run the ball through Saquon Barkley. Give it to Barkley. Now go back to 2022 when Jalen Hurts was doing his thing. We're going to zone read it. We're going to make this. We got the best back or one of the best backs of the game. We'll feed him. Now we'll do the exact same play, and we're going to go do this. We're going to pull it. I'm going to go score. Again, going back to what made them so good. This is before Kellen Moore now, and they executed this extremely well when he was calling plays or Steichen, whoever was doing it then. Now let's talk about a shot play. We're going to max protect because we don't want to have just a drop back. We're going to play action, max protect. We're going to go hit A.J. Brown down the field. Now listen, I don't care if you like Nick Sirianni or you hate Sirianni, but give him credit in both realms. If you hate what he does in the games, you still got to give him credit for wins. They're 6-2. They dropped off a cliff last year. I give that credit. He owns that part. Right. But they haven't fallen off a cliff. And they've gotten better since the bye week. They've put themselves in NFC conversation. So for all the hate of Sirianni, the problem is he doesn't call plays anymore.
I appreciate that you're defending Nick Sirianni, but he doesn't need your defense. He still has his job, so he's fine.
Yep.
I think the point that people are trying to make is he's coming up short of expectations. And there have been a lot of coaches who've had success doing things one way. The really great coaches are the ones that can continue to evolve and change.
But he's 3 years in, bro.
No, I understand, and they underachieved last year, and so far this season they haven't played to their potential. So I'm not completely on their side where I'm saying he's holding them back. The point I'm making is you're right. He deserves credit for 6-2. He deserves credit for their talent last year. He deserves credit for the run before. But the hard part is transitioning into a new way of winning, and he has not done that yet. No one feels comfortable and confident. John Harbaugh, all the names that you named, John Harbaugh's done that. Kyle Shanahan's done that. Mike Tomlin's done that.
Shanahan has not done that, bro.
Yes,
they haven't won the
evolved So winning the Super Bowl is different from evolving
I'm saying
into
you
getting
can
the best out of your
criticize
players.
Kyle Shanahan's in-game play calling the same as you can Sirianni. My point is, don't say that one is different than the other, because Andy Reid was no different until Mahomes was there.
I'm saying that all of these coaches have shown an ability to evolve and find a new way to win and dominate.
Will that just be overtime?
He has not yet. That's all I'm saying.
They're 6-2, bro.
Let me get
They're
Hawkins.
6-2.
The Eagles' talent is at the level of the Lions. The Eagles' offensive talent is at the level of the Baltimore Ravens. They should be operating at that level. They've done well in the last 4 games.
And A.J. Brown was hurt 4 of the weeks. He's the best player on the...
They don't have Jameson. There's a lot of players that get hurt.
Oh.
The reality is, Jeff, you can't look at this offense, this team, and say they've performed in totality to the level of their talent. And with Nick Sirianni, it's not a matter of him holding them back. They've done better. And the quarterback has played better. The scheme has gotten better. But on one end, you can't say he doesn't call the plays, so the 4th and 1 isn't him. And then the next clip shows 3 plays of play calling and say how it's gotten better.
That was 2022.
And my question is
that likens back before Kellen Moore. I'm
talking about over the last 4 games.
Okay.
Over the last 4 games, they have played better. 23 is the Giants. 24 is the Browns.
Sure.
26 is the Bengals.
Sure.
And 29 is the Jaguars. So it has been an advantageous schedule.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying is, in that game a week ago, they were up 22-0. And they are a more dominant and a more talented football team than they're playing against. The reality is he is the liability because the in-game decision-making put them in a position to lose that game and give up one of the biggest blown leads in their franchise history.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it. You either live by the sword or die by the sword. He's an aggressive play calling coach. Yep. I get it. Not everybody's going to like it. If all those went well, it would be Guy. He puts his foot on the gas and he does all of this. Barkley fumbles it. They throw an interception and everybody acts like nothing happened. To me, the whole argument of where we are with him is way, way heavy on the Sirianni portion.
Look, you can make either argument, as is usually the case. You can make either argument work your way if you want to. You can explain away both their losses easily. One of them, everybody was hurt. The other one, Saquon drops a ball. Mm-hmm. If you want to explain away their wins have been less than impressive than maybe they should be, and they've played a lesser schedule. In all, we're going to find out. The one thing that is not up for debate is that Saquon Barkley's play this past week. We're not going to go through all the best plays of the weekend. This was the best play of the NFL season. This right here is not the act of a human being.
That's wild.
A human being should not be able to do this. You should be injured trying this in Madden. The fact that he actually did it in a game is
That's
ridiculous.
He knew he could even attempt this.
Yeah.
The spin itself is sick.
Yes.
Sick. The lid is sick. And he finished 2 yards after he jumps over the. He didn't get the guy hit him and he still spun off.
Him jumping, it was elite. Him landing, him with full intention of landing and continuing to run makes him an alien.
It's unbelievable.
Here's what I will say, that for the overwhelming majority of us who've never been on an NFL sideline and don't know what it would be like when a moment like that takes place, thank you to the Eagles social media for releasing their reaction. Listen to this.
Can't wait.
This crazy. This crazy. He did a spin move to a 180.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy. They gonna talk about that play for a long time.
That might be Odell catch caliber.
Yeah. No bullshit.
So we were going to do, and we got long on our discussion, which was fine, sort of judging that against the other 3 unbelievable plays of the week, the Demarcus Robinson catch, the Garrett Wilson catch, and I'm forgetting the other one, but there was a 4th great play.
Smith had a
the
catch.
Devontae Smith catch in the back of the end zone, and I ranked Saquon number 1, because as spectacular as the other ones were, that was not a human being doing it.
Like Barry Sanders. I mean, good.
So like all those other plays
unreal.
were great variations of plays we've seen before.
Right.
This was the first time. This is a new one. This is
a new drop.
It's a brand
What? I've never seen it.
That's crazy.
As we continue after fiction, Hawk, I'm coming to you.
Let's do it.
If I said DeAndre Hopkins is the missing piece to a 3-peat for Kansas City, would that be fact or fiction?
That is fact. We talked about when he got signed, him doing 3 things. Knowing space, catching, and get vertical. Here's an RPO where he sees the under coverage and immediately he has to become available at the right angle, catch the ball, get vertical, creates a different element in their game. Number 2, contested catches. We saw the big play. Listen, it's going to get better because on this play, he actually runs the wrong route because there's no way they sent 2 routes from opposite sides to the same space. He improvises, and now Patrick Mahomes has a player he can just throw it up to, even if it's in a defensive meeting room like this. Lastly, red zone. And when you key on Travis Kelce in critical moments, you're going to lose because now you're leaving DeAndre Hopkins open. Travis Kelce is going to eat in a mighty way because he's there. Now, straight up, one-on-one slant. When I think of a number 1 receiver, and you could be the guy who leads the team in receptions, leads the guy in yards, yeah, you're the number 1 option. A true number 1 can line up, and when I need a play, 5 to 10 yards, slant versus man-to-man press, can you win at a high rate? DeAndre Hopkins can still do that, which is why I said he still has a lot left in the tank.
We're going to do the most important acquisitions coming up a little later. Spoiler alert, he's a clear number 1. Meanwhile, Nick, let's go to you. If I said the Bengals are going to make the playoffs, would that be fact or fiction?
I think it's fiction because they need to pretty much play flawless through the rest of the entire season, and they're a team that's made a lot of mistakes so far. So I think they'll go on a good run. I'm a little nervous about this because I said the same thing about the Bills last year, and then they went and won like 6 in a row, and then we're in the playoffs. So it's possible, but I think it's unlikely that we'll have a team just black out again this season, especially a team like this that's had a lot of issues and injury concerns. Well, money-related injury concerns in some places.
I guess you haven't checked Joe Burrow's stats in November, December, January, I guess.
We'll see what he can do. But let's stay in that division. In the meantime, Kmart, if I said the moves the Steelers made yesterday are going to help them win that division, would that be fact or fiction?
Okay, that's easy. That's going to be fiction. Because I think if the Steelers win this division, it'll be because the Ravens self-destructed. Not saying that I don't love these moves. I think the Mike Williams move is a good one. But when I look at the teams in totality, the Ravens are the better team, and they should win the division easily.
It's interesting to me because almost every one of us perceives the Ravens to be markedly better than the Steelers, despite the fact that Pittsburgh has a better record. And so when the question was asked to our group here, did the Steelers make themselves a Super Bowl contender at the trade deadline? I almost thought I was joking. And Hawk, you answered, yes, they did.
Yeah, I think they're a Super Bowl contender. This defense is legit. And if you get the sample size Russell Wilson that you've gotten over the last 2 games, they're going to be hard for any team to beat. When you look at the AFC, I think it's a 4-team race. I think it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And they got an interesting showdown, more than interesting, an incredibly good showdown in a 1 o'clock game this week against the Commanders. Are the Steelers that level of good?
I think they are. I think the Ravens are a juggernaut offensively, but the Steelers are comfortable with them. They're in the division. They're going to give them a tight game. That's not a team that's going to be like blown out like the Broncos were. The Steelers can compete with the Ravens. I think the Ravens are better, but not by so much that the Steelers don't have a chance. And the same is true, I think, for the Chiefs. So I think the Steelers are a contender. The only question is that we all have in our mind is when that bad game is going to come from Russ. We know it's going to happen at some point. It better not be in the playoffs.
Look, I mean, and the playoffs are a long way off. They still have a brutal second half of their schedule coming out of the bye, as we talked about. And listen, just looking at them against a team like the Ravens, who they will play. Look at their schedule the next 2 weeks. They have the Commanders, who are going to score points. They have the Ravens, who are going to score points. If that defense doesn't hold these teams to 20 points, and you're not going to do that against the Ravens for sure. Jeff, do they have enough? Does Pittsburgh have enough offense to get into a game like that and beat somebody 31-27?
I think they do. I actually think the addition of Williams is going to help. And I think Russell Wilson, he's not risk adverse of pushing the ball down the field. Now, that comes with interceptions and potential interceptions, and your receivers have to make these plays for him. I'll say this about the Steelers, though. This is similar, and Hawk made this point against Philly's schedule. Their first 8, they took full advantage. It's about to get real, and their defense is what's going to have to win them the championship. That's the reality of it. When you talk about like which team is better, I think the Ravens clearly have a better offense. I don't think the Ravens defense is scary to anybody.
Nope.
That's a problem. In playoffs, it's a problem because you tend not to score as many points and you got to hold teams down. That's where the Steelers, you always give them a puncher's chance. It's going to be explosive plays for the Steelers is the only way they win a Super Bowl.
I just looked over this to make sure that what I was about to say is correct, and it is. The only 2 games this season in which they've allowed more than 20 points, they've lost. That's the thing. Is I love what they're doing. I think they have the best coach and all. I mean, they're going to Tomlin their way to a record that is infinitely better than that. But at the end of the day, Kmart, the 2 games they've allowed 20 points, they've lost. They're going to allow 20 points against the Commanders. They're going to allow 20 points against the Ravens for sure.
Yeah, this is what we were always talking about, the back half of their schedule, which is when you were discussing, do they start Russ, do they start Justin? Whoever started needed to get wins and bank them because this was going to be the home stretch that's really tough. To me, the critical piece is TJ Watt.
Yep.
Like his health is paramount. Forget who the quarterbacks are. And that, to me, that's a lot to ask. Having TJ Watt on the field is a clear advantage for them, but that's a lot for him.
So we asked the group to put up just the picks for Cindy, you can put them up there, who we think is going to win the division. Jeff actually has them winning the division, but finish your thought, Domonique.
It's the promo test to me. It's like when they're promoting a game and they put players' faces up there.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
If it's a quarterback, I feel good about you.
Yes.
If it's a pass rusher,
Yes.
I feel not so good because the play that is going to have to win the game and TJ Watt is going to get it.
Yeah.
It's a sack fumble. So it's when we have those primetime games